Inravio.com.
Sounds like it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're back in business. Sorry about that, folks. I'll start over. Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 505 on Racing Show here the week of Christmas and Hanukkah. Christmas Eve and Hanukkah falling on the same day. And also happy holidays to all of you who have a different holiday that I don't know about. You got to be politically correct. Not anymore. It's Merry Christmas. I celebrate Christmas. But anyway, we have a good show planned tonight. And the first half, we'll talk about some NASCAR stuff and a little trip I took to Charlotte this past weekend. And the second half, we have John Cazale, co-founder of Long Island Needs a Drag Ship. He'll be giving some updates to us as to what's going on there. And that ball is rolling, let me tell you. But anyway, a lot going on in this, I call it the silly season of NASCAR, as do many other people. Richard Petty Motorsports announced last Friday it will field one car in 2017 in the NASCAR Premier Series with hopes of concentrating on that one car. They hope to also bring a second team back in 2018. All focus will be on the legendary number 43 driven by Eric Almirola. The team will lease one of its charters, the charter for the 44 car, for the 24 season. The 44 team will not compete at Richard Petty Motorsports. And as we had Brian Scott retire at a young age, Richard Petty Motorsports is going through a little transition there. And the only victory that Richard Petty Motorsports has had since 1999 was with Almirola at Daytona in 2014. So they really need to get their stuff together and start competing. They had two charters and they're gonna, like I said, lease one out. So let's see what happens in 2017 with Richard Petty Motorsports. Eric Almirola is a good driver. I think what the Petty team lacks, and I say what they lack is a core substance. You could just ride that Richard Petty name so long. Now, you know, Richard Petty's gonna be 80 years old in July of 2017, and he's been doing this since he's a kid. And one of the things in the 60s and the 70s when Richard Petty was so dominant, a dominant force, back then he had more money than everybody else. All of a sudden that money started going elsewhere. More guys and teams are getting more sponsors. It's the same money. They went to technology. Richard Petty Motorsports, or back then Petty Motors or Petty Racing, they didn't have that technology that the other teams that were coming in picked up on. He's playing a catch-up game. Hopefully 2017 will be a good season. And you know, I always said it's hard to have multiple teams in one camp. Because one guy always feels he's getting the leftovers. One guy is they concentrate on more. You know, even back in the day with Jeff Gordon and Terry Labonte, Jeff Gordon always felt that Terry was getting all the good stuff. Then when it became Jeff's turn, that conversation ended. It does happen. If you don't think it does, you're kind of a little naive, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens with the Richard Petty Motorsports in 2017 as they concentrate on a one-team effort, and hopefully they could put something together like some wins. Another announcement, the new NASCAR announced today their new logo for their what we've been calling the NASCAR Premier Series. It'll be the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. So they still got the cup in there. It was the Winston Cup years ago in the modern era. Then it was the Nextel Cup, the Sprint Cup. Now it'll be the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. So NASCAR, according to published reports in the Sport Business Daily, NASCAR received $20 million for the season, the 2017 season, and another $20 million for the 2018 season. And Monster has a two-season option. So if Monster doesn't reap the benefits that they felt that they were going to get, they may back out, or they may see that there is some benefit to being a sponsor of a premier racing series in the United States. So we'll see how that goes. But NASCAR CEO Brian France refutes the Sport Business Daily of the 2-year and $20 million. However, he is not saying what the deal is. And you know there's probably some kind of back door or back gate type of thing there, whereas this is going to be, we needed a sponsor, we needed this to happen, let's try it for a couple of years, we'll work with you. So I think that's what's going to be. But you know, that $20 million does sound a little light because Sprint paid $75 million a year for the national sponsor rights. So maybe Sport Business Daily is incorrect. Or maybe Brian France doesn't want people to know that he had to undersell it to sell it. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Some other stuff going. Another announcement on last Friday was Front Row Motorsports is bringing Landon Castle and David Reagan back to the roster. Castle, this will be his second season racing in this with this team, and he'll be driving for team owner Bob Jenkins. And he will move over to the 34 car. Reagan will take the wheel of the 38 car. So we've got some stuff going on there. Also, NASCAR Premier Series driver Ryan Blaney and the Wood Brothers racing team will be guaranteed a starting position in all 36 races in 2017. Wood Brothers obtained a charter through a lease agreement with Go Fast Racing. Go Fast Racing, owned by Archie St. Hilaire, Field's car number 32. 8 different drivers sat in the driver's seat of that car in 2016. Go Fast Racing also purchased a charter of the 44 team, owned by Richard Petty Motorsports. And Matt DiBenedetto will take the wheel in 2017 for that car. What else is going on in the world of Sprint Cup? There's a lot going on in the world of Sprint Cup. Daytona, I was just talking to a crew member this past weekend, and he says Christmas is in a week, then we got the New Year's, the Monday after that New Year's. He goes, we're back in the shop. We got 6 weeks to get everything ready for Daytona, and there's a lot of work involved with that, and it's not easy. It's a crazy time. Their off season isn't an off season per se. Really, it's around the holidays, for, Thanksgiving a few days, and the other thing they concern themselves with is what a rule package. What's going to change? What are they stay in? What about the cars that we have built? What do we have to do to them to make them, legal for 2017? So it's not easy. It's not an easy task. And people say, oh, they made all this money. They made all this money because when you see in the newspapers and on the internet, what that race paid, what the winner received. 99 times out of 100, the winner doesn't receive that. It goes to the team owner. And when you think about putting a pit crew in a hotel, feeding them for 3-4 days, flying them back and forth, uniforms, dry cleaning, their salaries, their insurance. You know, when you think about that, there's more to going to a racetrack and just unloading and firing it up and going. It costs a lot of money to do that. And at that level, it costs a lot more than what you and I do in our local racetracks, whether we're oval track racing or drag racing or dirt bike racing. It's a cost that's associated, and the payoff, you know, they're screaming just as much as us on the lower levels that we win the race, we lose money. But that's where the sponsors come in. When we come back, I'm going to talk about my visit to Charlotte, North Carolina this past weekend. In fact, I'm going to talk about the things I can talk about on the air when we come back.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop. 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hey, welcome back. I got my little holiday hat. What's on this side? My little holiday hat. Because I'm just loving the holidays. All of a sudden, the holidays are fun to me. I decorated my place, my tree. I finished my Christmas shopping like 2 weeks ago. Usually it's like Christmas Eve after work. I'm going, you know, buying stuff. Not this time, but anyway. Charlotte, North Carolina. I made a visit there this weekend, and it was a kind of a family thing. My cousin Freddie Kraft and his fiancee Megan Clifford, now Megan Kraft, were married at the Hilton in Charlotte, and it was a wild, wild time. And you know, Freddie, for those who don't know, he's a spotter for Rouse Fenway Racing, and was the spotter for Greg Biffle, who's no longer with the team. So Freddie's 2017 plans are up in the air, but you know, walking around the reception hall, there were so many people that were race people. And I got to talk with a few of them and had some fun. And, you know, Darryl Bubba Wallace was there. And Fred and Darryl, Fred, when he went to the K&N Pro Series, they put him with Darryl. He was a development driver on the NASCAR program and the NASCAR Developmental Series. And here's Darryl Wallace, a Southern African-American man, and here's Freddie, a Long Islander. And I can remember Freddie, and I said to him, "Oh, who are you working for?" "Oh, I'm doing this thing with Darryl, you know, Bubba Wallace." "Okay, oh, nice." He goes, "I don't know how nice it is. I don't understand his Southern drawl, and he doesn't understand my New York accent." I said, "Oh, you guys will be fine." And we laughed about it, we joked about it. And I had worked the K&N Pro Series East and the West many, many times, and I got to be friendly with Darryl. And when I saw him at the wedding, I was like, you know, this is great. And he's in the same boat as a lot of the other drivers. Darryl drives for Jack Roush or Rouse Fenway Racing and in the Xfinity Series. And he was, again, a full-time driver in the K&N Pro Series, Campbell World Truck Series. And I said to Darryl, I says, "What's going on in 2017? It's kind of quiet." And he goes, "I wish I knew." And they can't announce stuff until the sponsor is signed and the check cleared. And I'm talking to him about it. I says, you know, we're talking 2 months and it's Daytona. And he said, yeah, he goes, you know, there's some things in the work, but we can't talk about them until everything's signed off on it. He goes, and it's a little nerve-wracking because in a second, that could fall right out the window. He goes, hopefully it doesn't. This is something that's being worked on and worked on. And, you know, we'll see what happens. You know, but as to Freddie, again, you know, I went on a serious note. You know, Freddie, I've known Freddie since he's born. He grew up at the racetrack. He grew up at the racetrack and sitting in the stands, watching the races, getting snuck into the pits and helping his dad on the cars and all of those good things that come with racing. And I can remember him watching the videos, because we always watch the videos on Sundays of the Saturday night races. And I can remember him watching them, and he was like the announcer. He would announce the races, and he knew all the names and all the cars and all the numbers at a young age. And back in my day as the chief steward at Riverhead Raceway on Long Island here, my, I guess, partner in crime said, why don't we put the mic in his kitchen, make him the roving pit reporter? So we had this kid running around because his driving skills weren't, and it doesn't look that, you know, from the stands it looks real easy. Car inside, car low, pass and go. But when you're in the seat and you're driving, it's a whole different perspective. So Freddie hung up his helmet and we gave him a microphone and he had some fun with it. And then he just started spotting for guys and, you know, spot for this guy in this division, that guy in that division. And he kind of hooked up and had some fun with it. And one of the people that he grew up around, and not that he spotted for, was Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan drove figure eight cars here on Long Island. Works for Hendrick Motorsports now. I had a nice talk with him, and he said it's a crazy time of year, getting cars ready, trying to watch the rules and see what you know go between. Tommy moved down there, I believe it was like in 1990, 91 down there. Got a job with Hendrick Motorsports working for Terry Labonte, who eventually won a championship with Tom Ryan as his fabricator. And you know, Tom put my race cars back together so many times I'd bend them up and, you know, and he'd put it back together. Or I'd ask him, you know, what should I do about this? What should I do about that? And I can remember him welding with a stick when guys were using the MIGs and the TIG welders. He was sitting there with a stick, and it looked like that bathroom stuff that you put on the grout and you just squeeze the bottle. It was a perfect line. You know, a good guy, and it was good seeing, you know, Tommy down at Fred's wedding again. Him and Fred's dad, they were side by side for many, many years, and are still good friends today, and seeing them down there. Also walking around the reception room was Timmy Solomino, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour driver who finished third in the points in 2016 with 3 wins. And he was the 2014 Rookie of the Year. His plans are still the same. He'll be with Flamingo Motorsports and hoping to secure that championship. He gets closer and closer each year, coming in third in the points behind Justin Bonsignor from Long Island and, of course, Doug Colby out of Connecticut. And he was 8th in points a couple of years ago. Last year, or 2015, 5th in the points this time. That's a driver to... He's going to get that championship. He definitely is going to get that championship. And with his crew chief, Sly Saban, and the Flamingo Motorsports team, which has always been successful. There's only better things to come for Timmy Solomino. Also, one of the ushers in the wedding party, Jimmy Blewett out of Howell, New Jersey. Jimmy was the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour driver of the number 4 of Bob Garbarino car. Bob Garbarino and Jimmy parted ways at the end of 2016. For whatever reason, Jimmy needed to move on. Bob's not sure what he's going to do. Jimmy was, he's a 1 victory this year and 5 lifetime on the tour. His 2017 plans, I said to Joe, what's going on for 2017? And he kind of skipped and he went, there's a press release coming out in 2 weeks. I can't talk about it now. And I thought I could squeeze it out of him. Not that I would have said anything here, but I would have been saying it in 2 weeks from now. But it's hard to keep a guy like Jimmy Blue without a race car. I don't know if he's going to go back dirt racing, or he's going to concentrate down at the Wall Stadium Speedway down in Wall, New Jersey, or he's going to come back in the tour with somebody else. I don't know, but it was always good to see Jimmy, whether it's at the racetrack or anywhere else. Also walking around, there was a Georgie Brunhutzel III, 4-time NASCAR wheel and Southern Modified champion with 25 victories in that series in 112 starts. That's a win a month. I mean, that's good. I asked Georgie what his plans were for 2017, and I got one of these. The Southern Modified Tour merging with the Northern Tour, which basically what really happened there is the Southern Modified Tour got pushed to the side. The Northern Tour is still active, although they are going to run 2 races down in the South. That doesn't make it a combined. It didn't merge. If they merged, there would have been more races, more Southern races, and they wouldn't be going to Charlotte for no points. Just saying. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. I know I talked about that last week. Why make these teams up in the Northeast travel 14 hours for a no points race? Basically, the race means nothing. They'd have to pay a pretty nice payoff to make it worth anybody's while from the North to go down to Charlotte for the race. Nice venue, nice racetrack, although they race on the INEX Legends track there. They don't race on the 1.5 miles, but it's a hard race. You need to know your stuff. Your setup man has to be good because you're going from flat to banked, from banked to flat. And it's a whole different setup for those who have done setups and race from a flat track to a bank track. So half the turns are banked and half of them are flat. So it's a setup man's nightmare, a setup man's nightmare. But, George, I don't see Georgie traveling up north to run that series, although he is from Long Island, but he's bunkered down in North Carolina with his wife and his daughter, and his dad's there, and his mom's there, and his wife's parents are there. So I don't think they're going to make that trek up. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, and the next time I run into these guys, we'll have a little chat, and maybe we'll have more information. This next guy that I ran into that I took a photo up with was Matt Dillner out of Concord, North Carolina. Matt, and I know Matt from when he did Long Island Trackside on News 12 back in the early 90s. In fact, there's a piece that he did with me when the figure 8 cars on Riverhead Raceway were going to race on Sundays. And they called them, there was a whole big segment, Figure 8 Sundays. They talked to some of the drivers, and I was one of the guys that he spoke with. But Matt is an on-air personality and videographer at NASCAR, and he's the owner of Lost Speedways and owns and operates SpeedEats.com. And you saw in that picture, he goes, wait, Joe, I got to show you this. I got to show you. He unbuttoned his shirt, and there was his ISO Speedway shirt. The ISO Speedway replica sign that was on Sunrise Highway telling you the road to go down to the racetrack. You can see that goes back like 30 years, over 30 years. And it was, and Matt, he made me laugh. We were cracking up over that, and he says, I'm only showing this shirt for you, because he had a plan to show it later on during the reception, but we brought it up. And those are just some of the people that were walking around this room. And I know when Freddie was doing his little talk in front of the room, he had said there were a lot of the people. He goes, there's a lot of guys here tonight that I'm on the roof with at these racetracks, the other spotters. And it was good to see the turnout, not only with the families, but the friends and racing people from his Riverhead days. He's a kid, he didn't forget where he came from, to his now Monster Energy Drink NASCAR Cup Series. Freddie's a good kid, and I'm sure he's got some things in the works for 2017. He's not a good spotter. He's a great spotter. And my gut feeling, and I'm going to go on a limb here, and people are going to shoot me in the head because they're going to think I'm jinxing them. When Freddie Kraft was spotting for Bubba Wallace in the K&N Pro Series East, Coach Joe Gibbs called him up. True story. Says, hey, kid, how you doing? I'm good. I'm Joe Gibbs. Hi, I got your number from someone, blah, blah. Make a long story short, Joe Gibbs said, are you under contract with those guys? He goes, no, sir. He goes, want to come work for me? He says, I gave this guy my word. I'm going to finish the season with him. And Joe Gibbs says, that's important to you? And he says, yes, it is. And Joe Gibbs says, and I quote through Freddie, when you don't have a job, you come to me because that's the kind of people I want on my team. And I had an opportunity to sit in a meeting with Joe Gibbs one time in New Hampshire. And Joe Gibbs, that's the type of guy he is. He's a Christian man. He's a family man. And his word is he was his bond. Freddie gave his bond to Darryl Wallace and that team that he was going to spot for that season. He had an opportunity to leapfrog into the top series, but his word was his bond. Joe Gibbs doesn't forget stuff like that. Don't be surprised if we see Freddie working with Joe Gibbs Racing in 2017. I may be wrong, but I wasn't wrong about a lot of things that I said here on the show when you guys thought I was crazy. So anyway, again, I want to wish Freddie and Megan Kraft a very, very happy, successful life. God bless you both. It was a pleasure and an honor to be at your wedding. Anyway, speaking of pleasures and honors, a good friend of mine, Roger Oxy, been a guest on my show many times, is in the hospital upstate near his home, recovering from surgery. Keep him in your thoughts and your prayers. He's out of the hospital now. He's home. He's using a walker to get around, and it's driving him nuts because the holidays are here upon us, Christmas, and all the things that he likes to do this time of year. It's kind of a struggle. He's a little down in the dumps, so if you catch him on social media, just give him a jingle on there. Just let him know you're thinking of him. And, Roger, get well, buddy. We're going to take a break, and we come back. A guest will be joining us, John Cazale. Long Island needs a drag strip with some updates, some good news, and I'll save it for him to say when we come back.
Hi, my name is Aaron from Real Big Fish.
And I'm Ed from Real Big Fish.
And you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Mark Well. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, we're going to punch in the But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
Village Music Shop of Master. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop. 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Welcome back, everybody. To my right, your left, John Cazale. Long Island needs a drag strip. Johnny, how are you, buddy?
Good, Joe. How about yourself?
John, you're no stranger to the 505 on Racing Show. So, did they treat you nice in the green room there? Take good care of you? All right,
Yes.
good.
They always
It's all
take
good.
care of you.
Because, we try to treat our guests, so they want to come back,
Yeah, sure.
And you keep coming back, so,
So something's got to be done right? Either that or I'm a glutton for punishment.
hey, I do this every week. And speaking of every week, in April, just so you guys know, Marketing Encounters, show 300. They said it wouldn't last. Show 300, April. We'll have more details. That'll be a 2-week event, that show, just like it was last year. And we're going to have a live studio audience. So if you're interested in coming and being a part of the live studio audience for that April show, I know it's far away, but you got to mark your calendars. Let me know. and we'll reserve you a ticket. You could come in, and we'll have some food and some giveaways and some trivia and all kinds of good stuff. I know John was the first guy to put his name on the list. He goes, "I'm there."
I'm there.
I just put it. I just hit enter, and next thing you know, there's John.
That's a good thing about social media.
You know, John, and you're a busy guy, and there's a lot going on with Long Island Needs a Drag Strip, and
Yes.
Long Island Needs a Drag Strip. Give us some updates on what's going on with that.
There's a lot that's been going on. We had a meeting with the legislators at their town hall in Hauppauge about some property that was available in Yaphank. It really turned out not to be in our favor, but we did win because we got noticed by the legislators, and they're forming a task force, a drag racing task force committee, which myself and a few other members on our committee will be a part of that. They're going to help us look for land and see what they can do about actually getting us a racetrack. We showed them that there's over 13,000 people, just our fans on Facebook, and the money that can be made and help them get out of their deficit of almost $180 million.
And that, until you tell them this, they think you just want them to give them something you're going to go play. The monies that a drag strip, a racetrack, any kind of racing venue brings to a community is, you can't measure that.
No,
can't.
it's you can show them all the other aspects of racing from other states and other tracks and the money that they bring in and the dominations, but it's here. It's here. We're recognized, and we made ourselves noticed.
You know, I saw some pictures on social media. I saw some stuff on News 12. I saw some stuff in the newspaper, and that room was full of people wearing white shirts that said Long Island Needs a Drag Strip.
That was on the 12 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon on a work day, and we had over 100 people jam that room of just people that the love of the sport that want to show the legislators and the towns and the counties that we are for real. We're tired of going out of state and spending our money out of state.
Yeah.
Let's keep it here. Let's help us. Let's help Long Island.
Yeah,
and that's our game.
And not only does it helps us, but it helps us.
Yes.
The engine shops, the parts shops, the hotels, the restaurants, the neighboring community, wherever this place is going to be, gets to reap the benefits. The gas station, everybody has to fuel up to get home.
Yes.
It's a win-win for everybody, and it just seems like nobody gets that.
No, they complain about where's all the money going, and now we're going to show you that this is going to bring money back. Tourism. Dean Murray, our assemblyman, doing a great job in supporting us, and that. He's on the tourism committee. He's got the hotels, the wineries, the business. They're all behind us. Tom Croce, Lee Zeldin, Assemblyman Tom Selmy, Dwayne Gregory, William Lindsay. They're behind us. So it's a push. It's a movement.
Absolutely.
And it's a great movement.
And it's funny. I talk to a lot of people, but I see hundreds of people every day, and I talk to them about racing, and we need racetracks, and there are people still to this day think Riverhead Raceway closed 25 years ago,
Right?
Because the National Speedway closed, and wasn't that part of Riverhead? They're not even
Yeah.
But when you tell them that there's a group out there trying to build a racetrack, a drag strip, to go drag racing, oh, nobody's going to want that. And when they say that, I go, tell me why. Tell me why. They can't tell me why.
No, they can't.
It's just a negative thing. I have a friend of mine. It ain't going to happen. What are you wasting your time for? And I'm like, why would you say that? Why not? You're a racer. Why don't you get involved and show some support for it? And that maybe that one more guy can make the difference.
Yeah, you've come to some of our car shows, and I had a gentleman come up to me and go, John, I really want to thank you. It's been 7 years since I touched my car, and you sparked me to get my car back out and come out to your car shows and get this going. It's I can't tell you the amount of people that I've touched and that have touched me just by supporting us and doing this. It's unbelievable. I'm still in shock.
Well, you know, it's right. You know, the Jesus Lord Church there on
Yes.
Long Island Avenue, and I guess that's Holtzville?
Holtzville.
I had gone out there one night, and I couldn't find a place to park. I had to park like I was a drag car. You know, one of the guys said, "Oh, Joe, yeah, come this way." And, you know, there I am, and amongst all these other cars. And I was talking to a guy and his daughter, and he goes, "You know, I did this my whole life, drag racing, and I went to National Speedway, I went to Ice Speedway, I went to all these places drag." He goes, "My daughter's 17 now, and she wants to do this, but there's no place to do this. So here we are with my car and my daughter."
Yeah.
And you know, and that gave me goosebumps because my daughter raced and I was with her, and I said, you know what? There's no better feeling than doing something with your daughter,
family.
your son,
Yeah.
your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. There's no better feeling because you're doing it together.
So
It's
you
not
know-
like, see you, and go.
Yeah, see your legacy going down the track and not having to travel, like you said, 14 hours and make a full day. And you're here, you're there. We want it home.
Right.
We want it home. And you know, now that they just had a big crackdown on the ATVs recently, 2 tickets they're impounding. Well, you know what? I mean, one of the legislators was for it, but listen, that's another feather in our cap. We are fighting for you people with the ATVs. We're looking for a safety motorsports park where everybody can come and enjoy it, not just a drag strip.
Right.
So it's for everybody, family, you know, from young to old. You're never too old to race.
No, I can remember when my kids were racing go-karts and champ karts, and we'd go out to Medford on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning. We'd pack the cooler, sandwiches, drinks, snacks, and make a day out of it with the family. And I could share a little story. My dad, he hated racing. Hated racing. He did everything in his power to not let me go to the races when I was a kid. My mom thought it was a waste of money, a waste of gas, and a waste of time. You could do something more constructive. And it was Father's Day. I'll never forget, it was Father's Day. My daughter and my son were racing in Medford. And I called my mom during the week. I said, "Mom, listen, we're not going to be there for Father's Day," which is like taboo. You know, what do you mean?
What do you mean? You got to show up.
I says, "My daughter Jessica's in the points, and my son is, you know, shooting for a top 5. We can't miss the race. If you want to see us, we'll be at the racetrack." And I left it at that. I figured, that's it. I'm blackballed, you know.
No more holidays for you.
No more holiday. Don't go somewhere else for Thanksgiving. All of a sudden, I saw my mom and dad walking through the pits looking for us.
Great feeling, right?
And I got all welled up. I was like, wow. And then, you know, I had a sponsor that gave us food, and I said, we got plenty of food. At the end of the day, my father said, "This is a family thing."
Yeah. Yeah.
And on his deathbed, he says, "I think I missed the boat on racing."
Oh, yeah. That's a chiller.
Yeah.
that's a chiller.
And, you know, for him to admit that was big in itself.
Yeah.
But for him to say it to me, you know, he died 3 days later. He was like, "I missed the boat on this racing thing." Because that's an opportunity to bond with your kids.
Yeah.
And watch them grow and develop, and whether it's drag racing, dirt bike racing, stock car racing. It's a family thing.
It's family. And the good, you know what? The good thing about racing, like you said, the go-karts, you can start at 5 years old in go-karts. Drag racing, they have junior dragsters that you can start at 5 years old.
Yep.
So from 5 to 90, 5 to 90, moms, grandmas come out in their minivans. You see it when you go to the racetrack.
Yeah.
There is no age limit.
No.
And the camaraderie there is terrific. It's everybody's a family.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have there's no colors. It's all one. Everybody's a happy family.
Right.
Even if you don't know the guy.
Yep.
And you know, I go to the racetrack, I go to ADCO, and I'm working on my car, and some guy that I can't even understand comes over to me and goes, "You got a wrench?" "Yeah, go in my trailer." You know what I mean? Just put it back when you're done.
Right.
It's you know, whatever you need to help and get another racer going, that's what everybody does. But you know, we're looking to, with our safety park and everything going, we want to save people. You know, you save one life, I think we did a job. You save 2 lives, hey, we're rolling now.
You know, you say that, you save life. We've all seen that movie, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
and George Bailey, and I'd be better off dead. And the angel comes down and shows him, and you know, like his brother. My brother was a war hero. He saved all the people. No, you weren't there to save him.
Yeah.
And, no, you weren't there. So that one life, it's like a butterfly effect. It affects everything.
Yeah.
And not only the guy who, God forbid, gets killed, the kid that gets maimed. That's even worse.
They have the conception of the people that are uninformed about drag racing, that don't know about drag racing, that they think street racing is drag racing. Well, there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
When you go drag racing, everybody is safe. You're on a racetrack, you're in a controlled environment, there's ambulances, there's safety people, there's fire department. Something happens, they're there. You race up and down the expressway or on the side streets where people do, and something happens, news media, they were drag racing. No, back up, street racing. That was street racing,
Yep.
Big difference. So we have to educate the uneducated people, and I think we're getting there.
Right.
We're reaching people that don't know about racing, about drag racing, on what that is, and that's our goal.
Right. And I remember growing up as a kid. I grew up in Babylon, and 231.
Hot spot.
From the Southern States south to Main Street, that was our road.
Yeah.
Don't go on it. And there was a lot of stuff going on there. And back then, the 4 to 12, the police that worked 4 to 12, they left at 11:45 to go to the precinct, and so the midnight to 8 guy could come. He didn't get there until 12:15. So we had a half hour.
You had a window.
And we knew. And you know, we just went and did our thing. And unfortunately, a good friend of mine at the time, Jackie Sullivan, he hit the guardrail. He got out of control, and he airborne. He went airborne. And he came down and broke both his legs. And his insurance didn't pay because he was street racing. He had minimal medical. That was 40 years ago. He's still paying those medical bills.
Ouch.
And he walks with a limp. You know, in a controlled environment, that wouldn't have happened.
No.
And he would have been treated immediately, because once he crashed, everybody scattered.
Sure, you're on your own.
You
See
know?
ya.
Boom.
Nobody wants to get
He's
caught
laying
by
on
the
in the
cops.
shoulder of the road.
Yeah.
Car smoking, his all bent up. You know.
It was probably one of his friends that came over to help him that wasn't afraid of,
Right.
oh, geez, that's my friend in the car. You know, where you don't have professionals out there ready, willing, and able to risk their lives to get you out of their car, out of your car.
With the proper equipment
Yes.
and the proper tools to get you out. Not that they're yanking on the door and
Yeah.
trying to drag you out, which does us more damage. You know, when you look at that, look, racing is a dangerous sport. There's no question about it. Why anybody would want to do that in an uncontrolled environment just shows me the hunger we have for this sport.
Well, that's it.
And the passion.
We lost it. We lost our racetrack. West Hampton, first racetrack built on the East Coast for drag racing. That place could have been should have been a historical racetrack.
Right.
Now it's an adult community.
Yeah. I mean, NASCAR, the Top Series raced there on the big track years.
Yes.
Back in the 50s.
Yeah.
And that was part of the circuit that they ran. The oval track was at one end and the drag strip was at the other end. And we ran go-karts there up until it closed. We ran
Yes.
go-karts and champ cars there.
Yes.
And you know, I looked at the first time I went there, I didn't even know the oval track was there. I had only gone to the drags in the 70s with, friends.
You got to drive that extra into the back.
Into the back. I was like, with the high banked, I was like...
Yeah,
And then I did some,
that was a great track.
Yeah, and it's just gone, just boom, paved over.
Yeah,
You know?
it's a shame. Well, and there's so many things and opportunities to do, like you were talking about before, engine builders. But not only that, the colleges, the schools will get involved. The police departments. We were looking to do a Beat the Heat program, where you know what, maybe like in other states, in Pennsylvania at our French track, South Mountain Raceway, if you get pulled over for speeding, the cop doesn't give you a ticket. He gives you a ticket to go to the racetrack and race at the racetrack. Try it there. You get caught again, well, then you're going to get a ticket. But at least now, look, here's a ticket, here's a free pass, Mike gives out free passes to the racetrack if you get caught speeding. Go there. This way you learn what it's like to be on a racetrack, what you learn how to drive. You know, a lot of kids these days, which is, look, the Hellcats, over 700 horsepower from the factory. Okay. Where do you drive it? Expressway? Side street? You need a place to race. They just did, like I was talking about, the ATVs on News 12. All these places are selling ATVs and quads. You can't ride them. You have to take it and go out of state. Well, if that's the case, and some of the people that don't want to give these people a place to ride, well, then you know what? These places, maybe they should not sell these.
Right.
So how would they feel now if these businesses can only sell motorcycles? No, you can't sell recreational vehicles on Long Island anymore because you can't ride them anywhere. They're upset. They're hurting their pocket.
Yeah.
Big time. So we need a place for everybody. We need a safety motorsports park, and that's our goal, and this is what we're trying to accomplish.
And it's definitely needed. We're going to talk about this a little more. We're going to come back, and we're also going to talk about what's going on in the Tri-Track series here up in the Northeast when we come back.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Welcome back. Hey, the Tri-Track Open Modified Series named some series officials. Former Stafford Motor Speedway Vice President of Competition, Frankie Zambato, who I know very well, and Jeff Zudima will head up a group together as they put together a team and a staff of officials for the Tri-Track Series, or the Modified Series. This is yet another modified series that is, I don't want to say taking cars from the NASCAR Wheel of Modified Tours, but they're getting cars from the NASCAR Modified Tour, and there is a difference. The tour teams are tired of traveling, tired of spending 3-4 days, tired of going to Tennessee, tired of going down south. That series, when it was made, the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, when it was just called the Modified Tour in 1985, when it was started by Jerry Cook, was like a Connecticut, Long Island, New Jersey, Massachusetts series. A bunch of Northeasterners, working guys who wanted to go racing. A lot of other modified series have broken off and gone racing with other groups. The NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour has trouble fielding full fields, whereas all the other series are not having troubles fielding full fields with their one-day shows, and they're in the morning and out that night. They don't have all these crazy I call them crazy add-on rules that just puts money in the pockets of certain people. For years and years and years, I had a nice seat, it was developed, it was safe, it was good, and all of a sudden, you had to pay $3,000 to have an SFI sticker put on it. It had to be certified. The windshields that they used for years and years and years and years, which I said should have been flat instead of curved, they told me I didn't know what I was talking about until one day it came in through the curve, hit it in a piston rod, broke off, somebody blowing their engine, and hit the chew driver right in the head, cracked his helmet in half. All of a sudden, they went to the straight windshield. Why should that have cost so much money, first of all? And second of all, why did it take so long to go from the curve to the flat? Because you had to buy it from NASCAR. Eventually, that whole NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, whatever it's going to be called in the future, you're gonna sign up, and you're going to write a check for like $80,000, and they're going to give you a car to go racing. That's why these guys are going in this other. And the Tri-Track Open Modified Series, the payoffs are twice as high as they are in the NASCAR Series. The point fund is more, and it costs so much less to operate. So I'm glad to see that this Tri-Track Open Modified Series has got a guy like Frankie Zambato. Frankie, again, a vice president of competition at Stafford Motor Speedway. He left there and then went and did some work at Seekonk as a race director. Great guy. His son's involved with him now in the business of racing. I only wish those guys well as they move on. This Tri-Track Series modified series is going to be something to contend with. I really believe that. And talking about rules, all of a sudden, there's 3 Florida tracks that have created universal rules, according to Speed51.com. Auburndale Speedway in Florida, 417 Southern Speedway in Florida, and DeSoto Speedway in Florida will play host to the new Sunshine State Challenge Series in 2017. Universal rulebook will be used for the super late models, the sportsmans, the open wheel modifieds, the pro trucks, the street stocks, the modified minis, and the bombers. New Smyrna Speedway in Florida will join as well, however, only adapting open wheel mods, pro trucks, and sportsman rules. A common set of rules. You run all 3 tracks. See, this is a win-win for everybody. See, now, if you want to be the Sunshine State or Florida champion in this series, you got to run all 3 tracks. See, like I said last week, racers build their cars to race. They don't build them to have weeks off.
Yep.
Doesn't know, so it's on jack stands in the garage. So next thing you know, the wife opens the door, she throws this on it, that on it, and then you can't see the car because there's all the stuff that the wife threw on it. And then all the wives are going to be yelling. Yeah, they're going to be all yelling at me. Oh, what do you mean? I don't do that. Please. I know a lot of guys that have their drag cars, their race cars. In their garage in Jackson, you can't find the car. But anyway, universal rules. I've said this for years. I can remember when I first got into racing, I said, why can't I take my car from Long Island and go race in Connecticut or race in Jersey? Oh, it's different rules. Shouldn't the rules be the same? And Big Bob O'Rourke, rest in peace, he said, you don't like my rules, you don't race. I looked at him, I'm just a kid. I'm trying to be old and respectful because that's how my mother brought me up. Well, what do you mean? What if you guys don't like me and I can't get a fair shake and I want to go to Jersey? Well, you got to build a new car. But that's ridiculous. Why can't I run? And he taught me a lesson about racing business. It's my rules. Yeah. And as Big Rob said, there's 2 ways to do this at this track, my way and the wrong way. And if you don't do it my way, there's the highway.
Yeah, yeah.
So universal rules, and I know that the drag, you guys have universal rules.
Yes. We have, NHRA has their stringent rules, and you can go to any HRA track, and it's the same. It's the same rules at every track across the United States. Same thing with IHRA and all the other individual clubs that they have out there racing.
Yeah.
It's the same. So you can take your car from Long Island and travel over to Vegas and go race out there. It's the same rules.
It's the same rules.
Your cars have to be certified. And that's another thing about racing, drag racing. Your cars are inspected and certified, not street racing. where you can do whatever you want, make your car as fast as, and crash. And either kill yourself or take somebody else out.
Right.
Which is not good.
I remember on 231 as a kid, standing on the shoulder of the road. The cars that was, if I want like that, I could have touched them.
They have, I mean, listen, I can't say that illegal street racing still doesn't happen. It does.
It does.
We all know it does. And the same thing. When everybody finds out where there's a race going down, they flock to it. And then they line the streets up. And you just got two people. Listen, they could be the most experienced drivers, but you're racing on the street. And it only takes one. All right? You don't have no Jersey barriers. You have 2 lanes on a street, woods on each side, people standing next to you. Is it a great time? Yeah. Something happens, you lose everything. I've had people that even want me to street race. I can't.
Right.
I just, it's what I'm doing is too important, and I can't lose
Right.
or risk my house, my wife, if I go to jail. No good.
No.
No.
Or worse.
Yeah.
Or worse.
Or kill myself.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
John, what's coming up next for the Long Island Need Your Direction?
Well, we are, like I said, they're forming the committee, and next we're going to go to whatever venue or piece of land or piece of property that the county will show us, and we already have proposals already in place on certain pieces of property that we're looking at, and I can't disclose them because of, you got to...
Politics.
Right. But things are in the works. We're going forward. I told you before, the pre-stage light was lit. The stage bulb was flickering.
Excellent.
You know what I mean? So
If
we're
you guys,
moving forward.
You guys and gals out there want to get involved in Long Island Needs a Drag Strip, Facebook, like it. It's what, 15,000 strong now, 14,000 strong?
13,000 and growing.
And
So
growing.
yes, and growing.
And the last time he was here was 11,000. And the time before that, you were shooting for 10.
Yeah.
It gets better every time.
Yeah.
John, we're running out of time here. I appreciate you coming down and,
it was
and
great.
talking the racing with us. And for you folks out there, I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
A Happy Hanukkah. A happy holiday for those who don't celebrate those two. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules tonight. I know you're probably trying to get ready for the holidays. Thanks for coming, watching, listening, participating, and wherever your endeavors are going to bring you this holiday weekend. Please be safe. Please be careful. God bless you all. We'll see you next week. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.